Hello, everyone. Hi, the Hands of Anna Walker here. Welcome to the studio. Today is Tell Me Thursday, and I'm a little late. I apologize. The dog wanted to sniff about instead of coming straight inside, so please forgive. Today's Tell Me Thursday. First, I'll have a surprise at the end of this, but today's Tell Me Thursday is a question I get asked by people who haven't done any felting before. What's a good first project so I can sort of get my feet underneath me? Well, I've got two ideas here for you. The first is really simple. In the craft stores, you can buy sheets of wool felt. Now, this is not craft felt, this is wool felt. So it is felted wool. It's been shrunk down, the fibers are connected. This is two pieces that I have needle felted together, and then I put my little artist mark on it, WA, Anna Walker, or AW. And this is a nice first project. If you get two different colors of sheets of wool, you can needle felt a design on each piece and then work your needles to felt the two pieces together. And then you'd have a reversible coaster. But this is a very easy to do way to get you comfortable with needle felting. And if you didn't get a kit from me, which you can at stabthingsintoexistence.com, you can get all the supplies you need at either Michael's or the Lobby of H, which I don't shop at, but they have felting tools and they have these felt sheets. But you could get out of two of the felted sheets, you could get probably 6 different coasters out of each sheet. And if you doubled them up, that would be a set of 6 reversible coasters. This is a very easy way to get started. You wouldn't even need to get wool. You could use yarn to do the decorative stitching, the decorative felting on it. And you can use whatever you've got leftovers in your stash. So this is a very easy how do I get started project. Now, if this is too simple, then may I suggest creating a card. This is another very easy way to get started. I have embellished this with hand stitching for the leaves and the stems of the flowers, but everything else is fiber on top of a piece of craft felt. This is the inexpensive stuff in the felt aisle, and you can use that as a base for needle felting designs on top of. And this is just, a simple determining where the horizon line is and filling in the green, filling in the blue, adding a little swoosh for clouds in the top. And then for these tiny little flowers, I just took little itty bitty pieces of wool like this, only not even this much. Took little pieces of wool, probably no more than this. And I just took and I twisted it and then I wrapped it around, just spiraled it around and held it in place while I stabbed it onto the painting. And then you've got this fun little floral design that you can utilize and do them big, do them medium, do them small, but just play with where they want to live in the picture. And then if you want, you can take embroidery floss or crewel cotton and you can, add some stitching to show where leaves are, where stems are, where the horizon line is, if there are any little hills in the horizon line. But that's a very easy project to do, to just start playing with the fiber and felt and seeing how it behaves and how it works, and gives you an opportunity to either, this could be, you could mount this in a frame and it could be a mini painting, or you could take and attach it either with a fusible web or a double stick. There's a special Stickin, what's it called? You find it in the embroidery aisle at any craft store, and it is meant for needlework to be able to, it's basically a sheet of double stick so that you can attach it to a backing. And in this case, if you wanted to turn this into a card, you could use that product. I'll find out what that is. You could use that product. They're cut into pieces about like this. They're meant for projects this size, and then attach it to a piece of cardstock. And then you've got a very, very cool card, and you could write something wonderful on the back to a friend. Send it in one of these translucent envelopes. And I keep these on hand for just this reason. Trying to get it in here. And then when they get happy mail, they can see the happy from underneath the translucent envelope. Isn't that fun? So a couple of different, excuse me, projects that can get you started with needle felting if you've not done this before. These are your Tell Me Thursday special things that you can do to get started with needle felting. And I hope that you'll give it a try. Now, we started something yesterday, and I told you that I was going to revisit my Kandinsky inspiration. Well, the time lapse will be coming soon. I've got it recorded. I just need to send it to my assistant to have her mail it out. But here is our completed piece, and I couldn't be happier. I even like the way that the pre-felt squares sort of drifted apart just a tiny little bit from the gray pre-felt on the back, because it almost gives it a grouting kind of feel to the piece. And I just absolutely love how this turned out. Now remember, I've got 5 different colors of pre-felt squares that are on the design, and then each circular design is made from the same yarns and fibers. And I used a combination of fiber, like this, only it wasn't this, but I used a combination of fiber. I used a couple of different mohair yarns, and then I used a Malabrigo single ply that I pulled in half to give a little bit of texture and extra color. And I love the way you can see the balance from having the same colors repeated through all of them, but also how beautifully they blended together. So this is that finished Kandinsky-inspired circles project, and I suspect I'll be making a series of these here pretty soon. Now, what's the next step for this? Well, the next step is for me to first steam it and iron it a little bit so that I can get some of these wrinkles out. And if I can't get them out, I might do a little bit of overlapping in an area where it's sort of, let me pull this up so you can see how I've got a little point here where it's flared out. I may need to come in here and needle felt the grout, the gray, together a little bit to flatten it out. But this will be, I'm not going to add any stitching to this because I think it would take away from the beauty of the circles that we have here. So this is going to be pressed, maybe steamed, maybe a tiny little bit of needle felting to even out the ruffly kind of bits along the edge, and then it's going to be attached to a frame, and this will be a Kandinsky inspired painting ready to go. And as I said yesterday, head over to the website, stabthingsintoexistence.com. Trust me with your email, and very shortly the email list will be receiving the time-lapse video of creating this from start to finish, and it's less than 2 minutes, this video is. Took me about an hour and a half, less than 2 minutes on the time-lapse video. So thanks for being here today, and thanks for letting me be a tiny bit late. I hope that you will give a try to one of these starter projects. You know what? Doing a simple circle, just a single circle like this, is a great wet felting project to get yourself comfortable with wet felting. It's also my newest $47 club class, the Felted Piece Mandala, and you're doing exactly this kind of thing on about a 12-inch square that shrinks down to about 10 inches, 9 to 10 inch square, but you would get very comfortable with the wet felting process through that particular class. And that should be live today, if not very, very soon. So I will talk to you all again tomorrow on Friday. And hopefully I won't be late tomorrow, but I'm going to have the same issue tomorrow that I had today in dropping somebody off at work and getting a dog to come back inside. So fingers crossed, I'll be here right on time. And I will see you all later. Have a great Thursday, everybody. Talk to you soon.